to YouTube, guys. So, as a matter of fact, we're now streaming live on YouTube, so people can actually join us from wherever they are in the world today. So, as a matter of fact, we're now streaming live on YouTube. I'm gonna show you a picture of what you guys look like on YouTube. Give me a second. Um,
You can say that.
sorry, what did you say?
Already seeing what we look like.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you guys right now. I'm doing a screen share at the moment. Um, so this is what you guys look like on YouTube. This is what we look like on YouTube um at the moment. Anyway, I'm gonna stop screen sharing for now. Since you're live on YouTube, um, there's certain things I cannot necessarily mention right now, of course. But whenever we go off the live stream, then I would talk about those things. Now, what I wanted to talk to you guys quickly about before we get into the requirements analysis and um, design knowledge area was to help you guys understand some of the misunderstood perceptions around requirements analysis. Okay, let me also. Oh, it looks like you can only live stream on one platform at a time. Hmm. I thought you could live stream to multiple platforms simultaneously. Okay, that's fine. So one of the misconstrued perceptions of requirements analysis is the fact that when you read the Babok, that is, right? The Babok guide, first you have to do this, then you have to do that. One of the key misconceptions is that it's a step-by-step process. And I want you guys to understand that that's not necessarily the case. Okay. Now, from a project delivery standpoint, what are some of the key things you will be doing in requirements analysis? The Babok guide has broken it down into like 5 to 6 major components, which we're going to be looking at later on today. Specifying model requirements, verifying your requirements. So basically, specifying your requirements for the developers, for the people who are going to build the systems. Modeling your requirements, creating models like context diagrams and use case models and all these other models that we use, even process flow models, data flow diagrams. The different models that we can use to represent or illustrate certain information, from a business analysis standpoint. I also want to help you guys demystify the concept of modeling, in business analysis and how it really is applied in practice. We're going to cover that today. But essentially, the Babok breaks this down into, 6 major tasks: specify a model, verify requirements, validate requirements, define requirements architecture, define your design options, and analyze potential value of the requirement solution. So yes, the Bible guide has said, you have to first verify your requirements, you have to validate your requirements, you have to do all these things. However, it is critical to understand that you don't you don't do all these things necessarily step by step in reality. Okay. So when you get to the real world, requirements verification, requirements validation, all could happen simultaneously in your mind during elicitation. So when you're reading the Bible guide, it is possible for you to interpret things as, okay, first you have to elicit requirements as a separate step. Then afterwards, You will then begin to analyze the information, right? Begin to verify, begin to process it, begin to specify. But in reality, right, these things are happening at the same time in many cases. As you're engaging the stakeholders in conversations, you're processing the information they're saying. So let's try out a very quick example. Within the next 10 minutes around how requirements analysis really works. Okay. So I am your SME. I am your subject matter expert. Let's assume that. Okay. You guys are all the stakeholders on the project. Now, who wants to be the BA in this role play to ask me as a SME questions? And this is going to be related to our case study. Okay. Digitizing the credit card application process. Who wants to be the business analyst? Okay, you know what? All of you are the business analysts. Now, here's what's going to happen. We're going to create a scenario, okay? And you guys are going to start shooting questions at me. Okay. I'm going to respond to you guys, and I'm going to wait for the follow-up question that's going to come after that. Now, intentionally, I'm going to hold back certain information with the hope that you're going to want to probe further to get deep into understanding what you really need to know as a BA. Okay. Now, here's the scenario. You've been called or someone to be the BA for this credit card digitization project. You've been briefed on the project summary and what it entails, like we did yesterday. Okay. And now you're in the position to start engaging your stakeholders from a requirements elicitation perspective. You also want to start running your analysis on, what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Perfect. I think I see Helen joining now. I have Anchor, Shab, John, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Um, Holy, sorry, Halim. Halim, are you there? Can you hear us? Okay. Now, in this context, you guys have now been tasked to begin to engage your stakeholders from an elicitation standpoint. I am your I am your SME. Imagine I am multiple stakeholders. So I am from fraud, I'm from whatever, like compliance, credit risk, whatever. Now, what I want you guys to tell me is how are you going to approach? So someone tell me how you're going to approach engaging your stakeholders. Are you going to approach all of them at once, set up a meeting with all of them and say, hey, let's get into this with everyone in the room for every single meeting? Or perhaps, do you want to host an introductory call, introducing yourself as a BA for this major program? Likely you're going to be working with other BAs as well. Okay, and let's assume you're the lead BA, right? So actually, you know what? I'm gonna give specific roles here so that people don't get confused and no one can hide or escape from playing a part in this. So Shab, you're gonna be the lead BA on the project. Aled, you're gonna be the BA for fraud, for the fraud team. So the fraud, typically what happens in organizations, just so you guys know, is that when a project like this is going to be implemented, each team will assign a resource from their respective areas. So you would have like the fraud team assigning a fraud BA to support the project. You would have the compliance team providing the compliance BA. So this is a BA who's knowledgeable in the compliance domain, supporting the project. You could have, a BA from online banking. So like the digital channel who's going to provide insights around how things are going to work from a digital perspective. Okay, so I'm gonna assign a different BA roles to you guys, and then we're gonna take it from there. Oh, no worries, John. That's fine. Have a good time at church. Now, you know, Shab, you're the lead BA. Eled, you are the fraud BA. Okay, remember your roles. Holy, you are the compliance BA. You deal with compliance stuff. Imelda, um, let's say you are the online banking business analyst. Okay. Halim, can you hear us now? I just want to make sure you can hear us.
Yes, I can.
Okay. I already marked you absent, but I'm going to go back and mark you present. Give me 1 second. Just want to make sure I don't forget. Because these reports go directly to the IBA. Um, and if you don't meet the attendance requirement, then you cannot use the program for your CBAP exam, for your PDUs. So that's Halim. Okay. I think I found you. Um, check in. Okay. I'll fix that up now. Present. Good. Okay. Okay, let's continue, guys. Now, Imelda, you're the online banking BA. So for online banking platforms, specifically, meaning, so as an online banking BA, what kind of people do you think you're going to be dealing with? Are you going to be dealing with new to bank or existing to bank customers? What do you think, Imelda?
New to bank.
Why do you think new to bank? Your online banking BA, yeah, from the online banking platform. If you have an online banking account, are you an existing client or are you a net new client?
If I have an account already, then that means I'll be dealing with the existing customer.
Exactly. So as an online banking client, I mean, as an online banking BA, your domain deals with people that have online banking accounts. So it means you're dealing with existing to bank customers. So you will be an online banking BA. Now, NDD, are you there? Are you there now? Can you participate?
Yes, I can.
Okay, wonderful. You would be the web BA, meaning you're dealing with you deal with the bank's website. So anyone who wants to apply for a credit card from the website, not online banking, from the website, bank will go through your platform. Okay, so you're the web BA. Now, as a web BA, do you think you're dealing with existing to bank or new to bank customers? Undidi.
I'd say new to bank because it's a
Exactly.
general website. So.
Perfect. That's correct. Good. Now, um, what other roles do we have here? We've given out fraud, we've given out compliance. What about credit risk? So who wants to play the role of credit risk? John's in church right now. Anchor, are you here? Anchor is not here. Um, Halim, you play the role of a credit BA. So the BA that represents the credit analysis and credit risk team. So you have the knowledge of the credit. Now, again, I'm just giving you guys different roles. Ultimately, I was supporting you guys, but the question here is I want you guys to direct questions at me from your respective areas. Okay, good. Now, generally, this is the question. What role are you going to take? Like, what approach are you going to take when you want to begin your elicitation and analysis? Keeping in mind that like I said earlier on, elicitation and analysis are not things that happen in isolation. They actually happen concurrently at the same time. While you're eliciting requirements, at the same time, you're processing the information that's been given to you, you're asking more questions, you're analyzing data as you go. And I'm about to express to you guys how that really works. So, first and foremost, what approach are you guys going to take to this stakeholder engagement? What are you going to do as a lead BA shop? You have all these BAs from these different areas. What are you going to do to kick off the stakeholder engagement?
I think as a lead BA, I would ask like every BA from each of the from the members to understand what like to talk to the SMEs to talk to understand what are the pinpoints they are facing right now in their current process. Uh, like asking questions from the various stakeholders to understand like what are the pinpoints, what are the issues that they are facing right now, so that like you can document it down, and when you are building a solution, you make sure that like those pinpoints are avoided.
Okay. Do you think it's important for, because do you think it's important to share the project information with the other BAs, saying, hey, guys, here's the problem statement. We have the case study, right? So let's assume that's a problem statement. That's a documentation we have from the company. Do you think it's important to share that with them to say, hey, guys, here's the situation at hand. Review this document and let's have a conversation around your perspectives before you start going to talk to other stakeholders, right? Let's have a meeting as a group and let's touch on each area one by one and let's basically get some insights around how we feel this is going to impact our respective business domains. Do you think that's important?
It is, yes, because like that's how they will come to know like what's the problem that we are facing, like what's the business need actually that we are looking for to solve. So yes,
Exactly, right? So I want you guys to start thinking critically because it's not a lot of people think that it's just about going in and eliciting requirements and doing BA work. But then thinking through the process logically around what makes sense, what approach should you take to actually engage these stakeholders? How can you get everyone on the same page? You don't want to host a meeting with stakeholders and then you don't even know what you're talking about. And then the whole team looks kind of stupid because you're like, okay, why am I here? You don't know, like, why are you engaging me in a conversation you don't even know anything about? So thinking through the logical steps around, okay, how can we approach this? It's also very important. Good. So we've established that you would have a conversation. You will bring the team together. Okay. You will set them up in a conversation, talking about what the project is about, why we are doing this project, and then you open up the floor for the respective BAs to provide their input from their different areas, how they think it's going to impact them or their business domains. Good. Now, that conversation is going to bring forth some additional information you never knew before. Do you agree or not? Does everyone in this call agree that as the lead BA, Sharp's now going to have more information than he had before engaging the other BAs in this conversation? I want you guys to participate. Like, I want you guys to be pretty active. No, yeah, give me a thumbs up if you agree or not. I just want you guys to be as active as possible. Wonderful. Thanks, Ellen. Exactly. Great. Wonderful. Now, tell me your next step. Um, you know, Sharp. So now that you've met with them, everyone understands what needs to happen. What's going to be your next step? How are you going to guide the team? What are you going to tell them to do?
so now like it's gonna be more getting into that department's like I would say nitty-gritties to know like what are the actual like how the actual current state is, like what the current state is, asking them like what are we doing right now, and like what are the pain points, what are the opportunities. I'm going to ask them to do like SWOT analysis on their in their department, when so that they know like what are their strengths, what are the weaknesses, what are their
We
opportunities.
already know though. We already know what we want to do. So we know. So let's take a step back. We know that, okay, look, it's not in your place at this point to do SWOT analysis because the executives have decided they want to go ahead and implement a digital system, right? From a credit card application perspective. So we no longer have to do a SWOT analysis because we're doing this. It's whether we know we're going to do this. Okay. So now it's a matter of getting into the details. Okay. Do you think it's important, right, to set up a structure around how you and the other BAs need to touch base with each other to keep each other updated on what's going on across the entire program? Do you think that's an important step that needs to happen?
It is, yes.
Okay. So what are you going to do to make sure that happens?
So I'm gonna make sure that we uh like let's say we have a meetings maybe like once a sprint or like once like as a retrospective meeting or a review meeting so that like we can understand like what we are doing and like if we are going through the right pace or no.
Okay. Makes sense. That's beautiful, right? So essentially, you'll be setting up a recurring meeting with everyone, maybe once a week, or maybe twice a week to start, and then as everything becomes much clearer, you need to meet less frequently, you meet less, right? Good. Now, you want to set up a cadence, right? You want to set up a cadence with your team to meet frequently, so you can update each other and progress. Now, when the BAs. Now let's move away from Sharp. Sharp has been on the spotlight for too long now. Let's move away to the other BAs. Ella, you had a question. What's your question?
Yeah, the frequency of the meetings we're gonna do with job, is it depend on the type of project we're doing, whether we do adaptive, meaning agile, or predictive, like waterfall? Because for me,
Good
what
question.
I was there, I was taking the same direction the job took, like
Mm,
a meeting, but I was thinking maybe daily if it's agile. If it's like waterfall, maybe do it once a week, twice a week, no more than that. But
mhm.
uh, what do you think?
Very good question. Ella. Now the complexity of an organization, right, will determine how that structure is going to look like. Now, if you look at the banks, for example, right, each department, right, typically has its own little project delivery team working on its own systems, right? So depending on what you're working on and how the program is being delivered. As a matter of fact, I've seen situations where the compliance team working on the compliance systems, right, using a totally different methodology than maybe the online banking team, the digital team, who are typically Maraja. So even within the same organization, but across different departments, you have the use of different methodologies, and somehow you have to find a way of aligning, right? So in this kind of project, because of the size and complexity, you guys can potentially meet daily in an agile environment for sure for 15 minutes. But keep in mind the goal of the 15 minutes conversation. It's not to talk about, you know, what are the complexities you're facing and what are the updates on your engagement with stakeholders and all that stuff. It's a very quick, straight to the point meeting where the question is, okay, what are we doing today? Are there any impediments we have to report that we have to address right away? Um, you know, what are we focusing on in the next 1 or 2 days? Straight to the point. Now, it's not that meeting will definitely happen, and obviously all those BAs represented across the different departments will and should be a part of that meeting if you're adopting Agile, right? Especially if the program level is adopting Agile. So Sharp would be that program level lead that's coordinating those engagements with, the entire team, like BAs. Keep in mind that, Emelda is still meeting up with her own online banking team to give them updates around, okay, this is what's going on. This is what we have to do. She's talking to her developers as well. So she has her own internal team that she's engaging to deliver their own piece of the work. Are you following my point, Elliot? Also keep in mind that even you yourself as a BA, on what project, what team were you on? Fraud? Were you the fraud BA? Exactly. You're
Fraud.
also engaging, yeah, exactly. You're also engaging your own team around the fraud rules and all those things, like how you're going to build out the fraud system. And you have your developers as well that you're talking to, right?
Yeah, but
So,
I actually want to ask, but I don't think that I do need to share some information frequently with other BAs. Like for example, Holly was working with compliance because there's some alignment with both our fields.
yeah,
That you
so
understand what I'm
essentially,
saying?
yeah, I see what you're saying, but then the fact that there are alignments in compliance and legal, for example, doesn't mean that both teams don't have to talk to each other about what's going on in their respective teams. Or the fact that there's alignment between fraud and credit risk, because of course, if you're dealing with credit risk, fraud is a part of that. But fraud is a totally different function, like cybersecurity fraud. You're thinking about like potential attacks. You're thinking about, fraudsters and all these things. Like credit risk is more around, talking about the risk of the credit of the client profile. So my point is that yes, there might be similarities across different departments, but you need to touch base. From a lead BA standpoint, even Shab for his own sake, even if you guys don't care, which I typically would suggest that every other BA should care about what's going on in the other parts of the project, because if something is happening in your space, but you choose not to care about the other part of the project because you don't want to understand it or you don't care, then you won't even know when something in your space impacts another team. And then you could miss out on opportunities. You could even miss out on growth opportunities as well. So the more you learn about other teams and what they're doing, you don't have to get into the details. Just understand high level, what are these teams doing? What areas do they care about? So that at the end of the day, if there's a change, something happens on your side of things, okay, that needs to impact another team, you're in the position to know that this would impact, by the way, this would impact fraud, this would impact credit risk, this would impact online banking and web. So we need to engage them and let them know as soon as possible, right? So that's important. Now, I don't want to derail the conversation too far. Let's get back on track. Okay. So now I've taken you off the spotlight, Shab. Okay. So Shab, you are the lead BA. We've talked about some of the few things you have to do, critical things you have to do. You need to engage the entire team in an initial conversation to bring everyone on board. Before that conversation, you share with them the project's scope, the project ideas, the problem statement, and all that. You have that conversation, you update that project's problem document with more information and more insight. So everyone is more on the same page. Now you're equipped with more information, as well as the other team members, because now they've had a call from everyone else. They really know what's going on. They're more equipped. Now, you've also set up a frequent touch point with the other BAs so that everyone can meet from time to time to align on how things are going on their respective areas. Keep in mind that this is not a status call for the project. Okay. This is a BA call, right? The project manager is the one in charge of the status calls. So there's still going to be a status conversation that would then engage the project manager, who will engage the entire team. You probably Sharp would be the one to go to that meeting if you guys meant the other BAs are not going to be there, but sometimes other BAs join as well. The QA leads or the QA team members would be a part of that meeting. The solution architect would be a part of that PM, the project management meeting, so to give updates. Business subject matter experts or your product owner will be a part of that meeting, and so on, right? So there's a broader meeting that's going to happen outside of your specific meeting job, because yours is just like a BA alignment conversation. Right? It's a BA specific call. Okay. So I'm trying to paint the full picture around how this really works in reality. Okay. So is everyone following me so far? Holly, are you there? You're following, right? Wonderful. Ndudi, are you following? Anchor, you good? Ndudi, are you there? Yemi, are you there? If you're there, give me a thumbs up. I want to make sure I'm not just talking to myself. Wait a second, guys. Am I recording this conversation? I don't think so.
No, you
Um,
don't. I wanted to mention it earlier, but again, it does matter because it's on YouTube, so you can watch it later.
wonderful. There you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? I should use that as a mechanism where I get people to go on our YouTube channel, right, to go watch the recording. Actually, now that I think about it, right, I think if we record and put it on YouTube, that forces people to go
Don't do
there.
that. I am very shy. Even though I participate, but I'm very shy.
I'm not using makeup, so you know.
No, no, what I'm saying is that from a marketing perspective, just thinking as from a business analysis standpoint, it makes a lot of sense if I don't post the recording link on Slack, rather I say, okay, guys, go to YouTube and watch the recording. And that way I force you guys to go to YouTube, and then you guys have to go on the platform and then like the channel and do all these things, kind of engage, right, with social media. I think I'm gonna do that.
But then as stakeholders, we will be affected because I'll be less encouraged to speak because I'm shy. I don't want to be on camera, right? So you see, you impact the stakeholders.
And one day we're gonna find out like we are all are influencers now.
There you go. And then you guys are gonna be cashing out from the videos, right? I can see into this laughing as well. Yeah, oh my gosh, oh, that's funny. Okay. I understand your perspective though, Ellen. It's gonna be taken down from YouTube eventually anyway. Um, it's just gonna be like a temporary thing where we allow, you guys to watch the videos, the other people to come and enjoy some of the parts of the session, and then it's going to be taken down. So it's not going to be on the platform forever. So don't worry about it.
No, I was exaggerating just to. No. But again,
That's okay.
I'm talking about only myself. Like I don't know how other people feel about it. Again, perfectly okay for.
Does anyone here have a problem with being live on YouTube, by the way? Maybe I should have asked that question. No? Yes? Okay. If I don't hear any response, I'll take it as everyone is okay with it. So that's fine. Okay, good. Now, let's go back to our our conversation. So Shab is off the spotlight now. Okay. Now we're getting to the other BAs where you guys need to engage your respective business partners. But now I am that business partner that you guys are going to engage. Okay. Whether it's fraud, risk, whatever, just look at me as that person, right? I have multiple departments right now. So starting with, Imelda, you're online banking, correct? Within 3 to 4 minutes, let's talk through how you're going to approach your elicitation conversation. So now we're in a call. You are in an initial call with me. You already have an idea about the case study. How are you going to approach this conversation with your online banking team? You want to talk to me also about the project and what we need to get done. So you're leading the charge from your own area, right? So yeah. Imelda, go ahead. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yes. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I would, first of all, because it's already been shared, we already know the topic we are discussing. I would first of all know the people that are involved, people that are responsible, people that I will use the rating matrix to know the key people that are involved, and also hear their own pain points. I will analyze them and also find out the mode of communication which is more favorable to them. Is it physical or interview, meeting with them? So when I've done that, then I will start engaging them one-on-one.
Yeah, but now engage me. I'm here. So ask me those questions. What are some of the questions you're going to be asking me? So this is a
I'll,
pretend session. So you're pretend now we are pretending like we are you're in that conversation. You're having the first meeting with me as your online banking business team. What are you going to do? Or how are you going to engage that conversation? What kind of questions are you going to
So
ask?
I'll find out from you what are the pain points. Are there feedback you've been getting
Okay, so
just to
so
find
ask
out
me.
are there is
So ask me the questions.
are are there any challenges on online banking? Are there any issues or any delays or any complaints that you're getting from customers?
Yeah, well,
These are
you
those
got
things I would.
your team is deciding to build a digital application platform on the online banking portal. So it's not my responsibility to understand what challenges they are. It's my what I need from you is to go ahead and figure out what needs to be built. Come back here and let us know, and then we'll figure out how we're going to build it on the portal. Now, I'm playing exactly how people will react to you, right, in the workplace. So that's what I'm doing right now. So now I'm switching personalities because can you guys still hear me? I'm frozen. Can you
Yeah,
still
we
see
can
me?
hear
Because
you.
it seems like I'm
You
frozen
can
somehow.
hear, but your video is frozen.
You're
It
frozen, but
is.
we can
I'm
hear you.
frozen.
Your video
Yeah.
is frozen,
Your
but we can
video
hear
is
you.
I
frozen,
don't
but we
even
can
like. I
hear
was
you.
frozen.
Now
I
you're
was
okay.
frozen in
Okay,
the. I
now
was
you're
frozen in the
okay.
funny way. I was frozen like this. Anyway,
When you phrase, it's always a funny way.
yeah, it's always quite funny. Okay, Emelda. So, and to everyone as well, right? So, even the way I'm in this class right now, this is a different personality you're seeing. Like this is a class-friendly personality for me. Because when I'm in the business side of things, I also switch up as well, personally. And when I say switch up, I don't mean I'm a bad person. I just mean I'm more serious, right? In the business space. Now, Imelda, now the reason why you saw me switch up that way was because that is exactly the kind of responses you get in the corporate space. So I wanted you to kind of getting used to it. So I've provided you my response now. Let me know how you're going to come back to me. And then any other questions you have.
I will relay the feedback, what we want to do as in digitalizing the online platform into you, and also confirm from you the funds that would the funds that will require and how it's going to be integrated in the platform that you're already using. Just to
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for
get
that. Thanks for that,
some
Melda. But I
feedback
don't
from
really,
you.
honestly, I don't care about how much like the funds you guys can talk to. I think the finance team takes care of that anyway. From my perspective, what I'm really concerned about is what we're going to be building here. What are your requirements? What do you need the online banking team to build exactly with? Because we need to build this application portal within and the existing online banking platform. Now, have you guys ever thought about mobile banking? The fact that mobile banking also has to incorporate this somehow? Or are you guys saying that whenever a client wants to apply for a credit card, by the way, you can do this online, but you can't do it from your phone? Or do you also want them to have the ability to do this through mobile? We have a mobile team that we can talk to, but before I engage them, I want to ensure that you guys also plan to have them in scope for this. So can you please talk to your project team and let us know what exactly you guys are planning to do right now? Because it doesn't seem like you guys know what you're doing.
Okay.
You're gonna-
Now they have already given us the clue because I now what is required of me is to bring out all the high level requirements. This is what we're gonna want to do. That's what I just got from the feedback you just gave me now. So what I got from
Yeah,
you now is that I was supposed to before even meet coming to you, I'm supposed to have itemized what we need to do. That's the high level requirements.
that's
We want the
exactly
mobile application to, yeah.
that's
We want
exactly
the mobile so that people can also at the comforts of their home or anywhere they are, they can also apply itemize all those things before even coming to you. But coming to you without itemizing all those things
exactly. You just come with that's
doesn't,
exactly
yeah,
that's exactly the message I'm passing across to you guys right now. You can't just walk
yeah.
into a meeting not knowing what you're doing, right?
We have to
You
plan it first.
you have to
Yeah.
you now you can see the reason why it's important to think through things ahead of time. Otherwise, you're just gonna get yourself embarrassed, you know, in the meeting. And then you're gonna feel bad about it. But again, it's okay. This is why you guys are gonna have mentors to mentor you through these things, right? So, you need to start thinking that way. Think ahead of time. Okay. So, everyone give Imelda a hand. Give
Uh,
Imelda a hand. She's done well. Okay, let's move over
Can I
to
ask a question?
sure, sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
So yeah, so that means before coming for such meeting, you have to like itemize some questions you're gonna ask as planned for it before coming for the meeting. That is the summary of
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, 100%. You can't
Yeah.
just show up to a meeting not knowing what you're going to talk about. As a matter of fact, you want to even put in the agenda. You know,
Uh,
this is what we're going to
I,
talk about. Here's how we're going to approach it. Ella, you had a comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, you said fraud and fraud. Actually, all the roads, like which stakeholders are my question. What I will do before the meeting with you? What kind of question I'm gonna ask? I already have it written. Like while
Oh,
we talk.
beautiful. Wonderful. That's good. Okay. By the way, you're next. So, since you're ready, let's go, Ella. So,
Ready.
one second. I think Shub has a question. Shub, go ahead.
Yeah, so I do have a question of when Amanda says like when you asked her like if it's gonna be implemented on the mobile platform as well or no. So will that be a part of like a product scope? Like let's say uh like building like allowing that clients to apply for the credit application through the mobile platform. Is that a part of product scope or
Yep, that's a that's definitely a scope conversation. Now let's go back to the case study. Do you guys have this case study on Slack?
yeah?
Okay, so if you open up Slack and you pull up the case study, right? I'm going on it right now. Okay, when you look at the in scope section, it says digital credit card application via mobile banking. So it means that Imelda wasn't ready for her meeting because if she had researched the documents, looked through the materials and everything, she would know that mobile banking is definitely in scope. So that's why it's important to be prepared for your meeting, essentially. But yes, to your point, that kind of conversation is a scope conversation, right? And sometimes, genuinely, it's possible that nobody thought about it. You know what I mean? So it's the first time it's come up, and we're like, oh, wait a second. We didn't, is this actually going to be in scope or not? And then you have to take it back. Sometimes even the business folks don't know. They have to take it back to like the senior executives, and then they would make the decision. At the end of the day, it's not your call, it's their problem. It's your responsibility to take it to them to say, hey guys, this is what we think we've missed. Figure it out and let us know what you want to do. Do you want to put this in scope or do you want to leave it out of scope? Because at the end of the day, if it's going to be in scope and it wasn't originally budgeted for, it's going to cost you more money, right? So the technology team, usually their hands are very itchy. The tech team, and then little change in scope, they just get throw dollars out there, um, in terms of like increasing the cost of the project, right? So yeah, except it's a minor change. But if you're gonna like include an entire platform, that's a big change, right? So if it wasn't in scope before, so yeah. All right, Elad, go ahead.
First, good morning. What do you want to
Good
start?
morning,
Like,
Elad.
what do you want exactly to start? Like,
And it's your meeting. You
okay.
run your meeting however you want to run it.
Okay. So I sent yesterday an email with exactly what I want to know. What's the agenda of this meeting? What information I need, and important key issues that I need to address regarding the fraud, regarding the fraud topic, which I'm responsible for. You know the impact of how important it is, like that we make sure that no fraud happens during this new process because it impacts all of us. So I hope we can collaborate and make the best of it, like to get the
Mhm.
information I need and for me to be able to address everything or most of it so, in the best way. So,
Thanks for that. Okay, you had a question. Go, sorry, keep going. I would interrupt. I would ask my questions afterwards. Go ahead.
okay, again, it's a dialogue. You can interrupt me if
No,
I'm
yeah,
not clear.
absolutely. I don't want to
Uh,
interrupt you. I don't want to interrupt you abruptly. Go ahead. When I have questions, I'll raise them. Go ahead, please.
okay, great. So let's first address the high level issues, like what's exactly kind of frauds banking encountering today.
Sorry, I didn't catch that question. What's frauds? What?
What kind of frauds, what kind of fraud types we and the
Have we
banking
seen?
banking industry are encountering today.
Yeah, well, we see different types of fraud, ranging from cybersecurity fraud. We see, attempted, logins into accounts. We see people contacting the call centers, pretending to be other customers with the intention to collect client information or transfer funds or conduct a transaction as a customer, but indeed it's not. We have over the years implemented several fraud, prevention strategies. For example, in the call centers, we have gone ahead to implement voice recognition so that we actually know the voice of the customers who have consented to use that technology, and we can immediately detect whether or not the client is who is on the line or not. For our online banking platforms, we have implemented a bunch of fraud detection strategies, ranging from two-factor authentication to cybersecurity monitoring, to detection of when certain transactions are happening off peak periods. If, for example, if a client is making a transaction in the middle of the night, but that's untypical of the client, we've implemented systems to pick that up and catch those kind of transactions, potentially temporarily blocking the card. If a transaction is occurring outside of the country, and the client has not alerted the bank previously that they're going to be traveling to another country, then obviously that also raises a fraud flag as well. So we have a bunch of fraud rules in place today that safeguards the online banking platform. But the question is though, what are you guys looking to build exactly? What are you guys want to do, and how can we help you from that
Yeah.
perspective?
First, thank you for sharing that information. Again, it's we specifically handle frauds that relate when clients open a new bank account. So what we most focus the most is like identity fraud, when people are impersonating to other people. So again, what kind of methods or mitigation action you got for this type of stuff? Like
Mm,
for example, let's start with a simple example like physical. Like when a person today comes to a bank
mm,
and he wants to open a new bank account, how you make sure he is the person he is, with all the documents that he submits are correct and valid, and how you think we can transfer that to online banking when a person can do it online or via his mobile app or through online
mhm.
or through the website.
Yeah, that's a good question. So when the client walks into the branch anyway, for the most part, it's usually we don't get to play a part in that because the client is physically walking to the branch. And you can see the client, we have the identification document, except there's a flag raised that, a specific client is not who they say they are. And or we've had situations where certain clients were actually banned from a financial transaction standpoint. They've been under ban from the US government or any other government or even the Kenyan government not to, have any banking um, transaction related um, type of, situation going on in the country. So as a result of those kind of situations, we block those clients, right? However, in this case, you guys are looking for an online credit application situation. And what I think you guys should start thinking about is the fact that clients would have the ability to apply, or potential clients would have the ability to apply for credit cards without necessarily knowing who they are. So to your point, the question is, how are we going to detect that this is exactly who they say they are? I would suggest I can make a few suggestions, but we need legal and compliance to help validate a few of those things. Now, this is not the first time we're building something similar to this. We already have a mechanism in place today to help validate clients who are onboarding, right? So do you know about that project? Probably
No,
not,
no,
but anyway.
actually, that's what's my follow-up
No, no, no.
question. No,
Yeah, I'm actually raising the point because in some cases, some things that you're looking to build is something that's already been built before, right? So this is me talking to everyone generally, right? And so they can leverage existing technologies that they have in that organization. So, for example, in
yeah,
this case, we're saying that the business has already built a identification validation mechanism for the digital onboarding platform. So we can literally lift off that mechanism and adopt that approach here as well. But go ahead, Elliot. You had a
yeah,
question.
because you're the first person, because you are so knowledgeable. I did because you are the first person I'm talking to. I would be happy if you can actually direct me to the whether I can find that information so I can review it and maybe come back to you with follow-up question in
Yeah,
future.
yeah,
And
mhm,
that's the
yeah,
first question. And actually, that will be a great reference. And the other thing is how we can, which type of systems we can actually interact with if a client that is supposed to be blocked actually try to register to and open a bank
yeah.
account.
So I will send you an email later on. We have John from the what's his department again? We have John from the onboarding team that can support your work. So I would definitely give you his email address after the call so you can reach out to him and see, what they've done so far. But again, I need to have a conversation with him anyway because we're probably going to be lifting off that technology. So I have to figure out if it's something that will work for us as well. So yeah, I'll set up a call, or you can set up a call between the three of us. Let's have that conversation. That's fine. With regards to systems that we need to consider, we do have fraud detection mechanisms in place today, fraud detection systems. So what I'm thinking personally is that we need to think through the flow of the application and figure out when is it most important to actually have the fraud check. In my mind, it makes sense to have a fraud check before, the application makes its way to downstream systems. You want to make sure that you catch any potential fraud ahead of time, cancel any application that's fraudulent upfront. Don't let the backend see it at all, because there's no need for them to touch it. Any application that is not we're not sure of because the fraud systems don't know whether it's actually fraudulent or not. We're going to have to pen that application for a fraud review by manually by our fraud team members, right? So based on what you're trying to build right now, my suggestion is that you're trying to build an application and ultimately you're looking through a real-time response. So we need to be able to build a
Yeah,
mechanism that would provide you guys with a real-time fraud check so that when you submit the application, it's going to go through our fraud systems. We're going to have to build some fraud rules. Now, we have never done a real-time fraud check before. So this is something new that we're going to have to do for the first time, and we're going to have to be, engaging a bunch of our seniors, SMEs, to understand how we can really build these fraud systems with the fraud rules that has the capacity and capability to support what you guys are looking for. So this is definitely brand new for us.
yeah. The thing and it gets a bit more complicated and maybe challenging because like one of the requirements we have is actually that that most customer can open a new bank account within 15 minutes. So,
Mm,
so we need to validate to make sure first that the client's not blocked, that he's who he says, like the documents are valid, that they meet our requirements for specific bank account type, credit card type, and others. So I'd be
okay.
happy to I can I go and check. I will go and check what you referred me to. Can I do a follow up with you and
Yeah, sure.
email you a
Absolutely,
link there?
absolutely, for sure. Yeah. Touch base anytime. I think that there's definitely a lot of conversations we need to have. Personally, I would also think through all the key players we need to involve in this conversation as well. So yeah, thanks for reaching out to me, and we can definitely talk again soon. I'll be looking forward to our next conversation. Thanks,
Yeah,
Elliot. Bye for now.
thank you very much for your time.
All right, cheers. Okay, good, good. That was a good one, Elliot. That was a good one. So that was quite interactive, back and forth. You guys saw the way that conversation took place. Now you can see that as I was responding to me, as I was giving him responses back, he was actually analyzing the data, saying, okay, we've thought through this. I know as I was talking to me, even me as a SME, I'm also analyzing the data. I'm also providing you some responses to think through, okay, based on the case study, this is what we need to do, this is what we have to do. We're not sure of this, we're not sure of that. We're gonna have to go back to confirm a few things. So everything happens just mumbo jumbo. It's not like you're gonna receive organized data. When you're talking with your stakeholders, the conversation just flies around. And it's up to you as a BA to direct the conversation in the direction that you want it to go. Okay, great. Okay, let's go to someone else. I want us to see if we can wrap this up by like 12 o'clock. So let's try and keep it a little bit brief going forward. Amora is gone, Elad is gone, Shab is gone, Holy, you're next. What's your team? What team are you leading?
Compliance.
Sorry?
Compliance.
Compliance? Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So, hi Tolulope. How are you
Hey,
doing?
hi, Holy. Nice to meet you.
Uh,
It's been a long time. Everything okay?
yeah, is everything okay? I don't know if
Good.
you're knowing about the new project that the Chubb teams are working on
Oh
this.
yeah, that one. I heard about it, but I don't really have much insight about it. But yeah, I've heard a few things about it. Tell me what's going on with that project. How's it going?
So, yeah, we are in the initiation phase and we are just understand the requirements. And actually, we have our customers have the process to ask for a credit card in a face-to-face company, and we want to move that for a digital one for mobile and online. And I would like to talk to you about how what are the compliance that are applied today in the current process.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So if I understood your question properly, you're trying to understand, what compliance considerations we need to put in place for, um, a digital credit card application process, right? Now, I think one of the key things that comes to my mind is client data, right? I think that's the real compliance related problem we could potentially have from this. The government would not, um, you know, penalize us for collecting data digitally or, you know, providing the ability to collect applications for credit cards digitally. However, we need to ensure that we capture the client data within the constraints of the compliance requirements set aside for us by OSFI. Now, things like privacy of the client, things like the information they provide, is it encrypted or not? That conversation we're going to have with the IT security team, because the IT security team would need to engage us and let us know in what format we need to be passing data back and forth from the um, digital portal to the backend systems. Now, given my history with the bank, I feel like we've already built very strong, robust, you know, um, safe portals through which information flows through. But we just need to make sure that this time around, we can actually leverage those capabilities for this as well. Another key thing that comes to my mind is the display of the client data, right? So if we're going to be displaying any data to the client, are we considering masking data on the UI? That might be something you want to think about, for example, passwords or date of births or any client sensitive information that is considered personal identifiable information like PII data. We might need to mask that data on the client screen, providing them the ability to view it whenever they want. But generally, that data should come in as masked as the client types it in. I think those are some of the only key things I'm thinking about for now. Um, yeah.
And today, in the current process, what are the big problems that you are dealing with?
Hmm. So I would say that from a compliance standpoint, right, we basically have to comply with every regulation that, the government has imposed upon us, especially the financial arm of the government. And so we just need to ensure that whatever you guys are building aligns with whatever, measures has been implemented or put in place by the government. So we don't really face any issues per se, because right now we implement projects on a yearly basis to stay abreast of new government standards, especially from like a client data perspective. For example, if the government requires that we collect new data from clients, we sometimes have to reach out to them to collect that information. Sometimes it's commercial clients, sometimes it's, personal clients, I mean, private clients and so on. We just need to make sure that whatever information we have and the way we operate as a business stays continuously compliant with how our regulators expect, right? So anyways, coming back to this particular topic of your project, right? What I would say is that number one, you want to talk to the IT security team to ensure that the data that's being provided by the client on the UI platform is being passed to the backend system in an encrypted format. Number two, we want to ensure that our data masking is put in place from a UI perspective. Now, you're going to have to talk to the online banking digital team about that. I think you want to engage the web team and the online banking team because the digital team are the ones who are going to be responsible for implementing that anyway, not us. So just make sure that they have that as a requirement. Good.
So just one more question. So it's
I want
important
to
that
point something out really quickly, Holly. Sorry. This
okay.
going back to the class now. So
Okay,
guys,
sorry.
no worries, Holly. So can you guys now see how it's possible for a requirement coming from one department to actually impact other departments? So this is a compliance requirement, but now we're talking to IT security, we're talking to digital because they're the ones that are going to implement that requirement, right? So you can now see how things get a little bit more complicated. Okay, Holly, go ahead with your next question.
No, it's just like acting as a VA. There is just we can finish.
Alrighty. So that's okay. You guys get the point, right? You see the interaction, you see the engagement, right? Is there anyone else that wants to go? Anyone wants to volunteer? Ellen, I'll come to you. I'll come back to you in a second. Anyone else that wants to go? Yemi, Indudi, Anchor, Halim. Is there anyone else that wants to give it a try? Otherwise, I think we're good here. But if you want to give it a try, you can go ahead. Indeed, I'm sure you're like, oh my God, thank God, I'm thankful this cop has passed over me. But do you want to give it a shot or no? Okay, that's fine. Indeed, can you hear us or are you, are you intentionally on mute? Oh my goodness. Why do I feel like you're smiling behind the back of your screen right now, Ndidi, and just laughing?
Honestly, I am.
I kind of figured that's what was happening. Okay, so do you want to give it a shot or you want to pass?
I'll pass. But I just want to ask a question.
Okay.
Um, Related to the web part. In that case, how exactly do I even, because it is customer focused, right? As it's web related. What are the exact features? Would that be a necessary question to ask? Or would it be okay to apply survey in that area? And in that case, would I be using survey of like existing customers to get my feedback? Or yeah, that was
So
really one question.
that's a requirement for the end of your project, right? So
Okay.
you're web, right?
Yes.
So in my mind, the question you want to be asking is you have to always think about everything in relation to what you're building. We're building a digital portal to allow the inflow of credit applications digitally. So the first question is, can you guys build this? We have all the forms, so you must have done your back end research to understand, okay, here are all the forms the client completes today manually, right? This is the kind of information we want to collect. Name, date of birth, client information, banking information, if they have any previous accounts with any other bank, any like if they've ever been into prison before, if that's a valid question, of course, what's the date of birth, um, information about their SIN numbers, the employment data, and all that stuff, right? So all this information is information you want to collect. But then how is it collected today? What is the information exactly? If they have a PDF, collect the PDFs, send it to them. Guys, these are the current PDFs before your meeting. These are the current PDFs that we use today when the client is applying, completing this form manually, or when they go into the branch. Now, we have to digitize this. How do we go about it? As a BA, you also want to take a note of all those things. You're going to create, again, this is me going a little bit too far for this session, but that's fine. You probably want to create like a master sheet, like an Excel file that has all the fields. Name, so you start by saying, okay, we collect customer personal information. What's in that form? Okay, we have the name, first name, last name, middle name, or first name, middle name, last name, exactly how it is. You go through that, date of birth, address, phone number, email address, spousal information, if any. Are you married or not? Are you, if yes, what's your spouse name? Whatever, whatever, whatever. You list out all that. And then you ask yourself, okay, what is the field type for this? Is this going to be a free text field? Is it going to be a drop-down field? See what I'm saying? Where you hit a drop-down and you have predefined options. For example, if it's a name field, it probably has to be a free text because anyone can text in their name. If it's a date of birth field, you probably want to have like a calendar drop down where you hit the thing, it shows you a calendar, and then you can select, okay, 1984, 1986, 1987, or 1992, November, 12, whatever the case may be, right? If it's a field like, you know, select if you have any previous bank, if you have any account with any other bank, that could be a drop down. If you select yes, yeah, it's going to be yes or no. So hit a drop down, yes or no. Yes, good. If you hit yes, another field could come up and say select the bank. And then you hit another drop down, you see Bank of Montreal, Bank of Nova Scotia, Bank of whatever, 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 right? So again, that information, you're gonna have those things detailed out in your Excel file. But again, that's going a little bit too far for this session, right? But that's something you're gonna have. That's why, guys, I'm telling you guys right now, business analysis is not a joke. It's not a joke. I can see Holy is like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? Guys, it is not a joke. I told you from the first day in this session, if you think you're coming to relax in this profession, you're then just quit because it requires a lot of hard work. It requires detail. You have to be detail oriented. Do you think they pay? I know some BAs that make level BAs that make $120 an hour. Do you think they pay you $120 an hour for nothing? It is very complex. The job is complex. Even intermediate BAs make about $70 an hour as a consultant, intermediate. So that is to tell you that the role is now. There are a lot of BAs out there. They say they're BAs, and but they have no idea what they're doing. And that's why I tell you guys that what we're trying to do. I'm not taking a stab at you guys because you guys are getting into this field afresh. So whatever I'm saying right now doesn't apply to you guys, okay? And that's why I said at the beginning that a lot of people go through. Look, I've taught in the university. I've taught at Seneca College. I trained. I actually review the project for Humber College project management students, right? So I've seen the academic side of things, what people learn in school, and I've seen the practical side of things, what happens in reality. And sometimes when I go into some other professors' sessions and how they teach students, I'm just sitting in my chair and just laughing in my mind because I know like this person doesn't know what they're talking about, or this person has no idea how this thing really happens in reality because you're just basically spitting out theory, right? And that is the difference, right? A lot of colleges right now, they're scrambling to hire me as a facilitator, as a professor, but I don't even have that time because they want someone that can provide practical context to the theory. Not a lot of people can do that. Not a lot of people have the theory and have the practice that can combine both and tell you, hey, look, this is how it works in reality. That is rare. Usually it's either you're academic or you're a professional, right? But to have someone that has a combination of both, it's not that easy to find. Anyway, enough bragging about myself now. Bottom line is business analysis is not easy. It is not, so I'm pretty much happy that you guys are beginning to see the evidence of that right now. And these things we're talking about, these are even small, these are not even complex. These are not complex. When you get to like system complexity, oh my God. Sometimes you're gonna have to spend hours trying to figure things out, trying to figure out like how different systems interact. You have a requirement from this stakeholder. Okay, how would this requirement impact all these other systems? Who do I need to talk to get that information? I am not trying to discourage you guys. I'm basically giving you a reality check. This is a reality check, guys. Know what you're getting into. Okay? Perfect. Um, Eled, I think you had a question before.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of.
Kind of forgot it. Okay, that's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So I can relate to a lot of stuff you said because the value you get from teachers that have actual experience and teachers that don't have actual experience is enormous. Like I ask a question and so I get like a theoretical answer. With that's one, and you ask a question from a practical teacher that have experience, you get a specific answer which brings you insight. That's valuable. So I really really can relate to what you said. But that was a side. What I want to actually ask
Thank you
is
for that,
regarding
Eled, by the way. I appreciate the comment, but sorry, go ahead.
sure. That's exactly what it's relates to what you said to Holly because that's the reason why I asked about the little daily, like the more frequent meetings in Agile projects, because like what you can learn, because at the end, like I look at the entire project. Like I am responsible for specific department, Oli is responsible for specific department, Yem is responsible for specific department, like and we all contribute to how Shabbos is being perceived by the management. At the end, like we all need to communicate with each other because I can learn something like extremely important today, which can affect other departments like Holly, like Yemi, like Helen, everybody. And I want to communicate that as soon as possible because it can influence and even change the way they prioritize stuff. So
Uh-huh.
that's why I wanted maybe to ask or maybe like get your input on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So things change over time on the project, right? So, for example, certain things that happens here might impact other things that happen in other areas for sure. So you can definitely adapt your approach as you go. For example, you may even decide that, look, we don't need to meet every day. Even the daily stand-up, it's just like it's an agile ceremony. You can decide that, look, this is how things are going on this project right now. We don't have to meet every day for 15 minutes. We can meet every other day for 15 minutes, right? I've seen pro teams where they meet 3 times a week, not every single day. You can decide to say, okay, look, we're gonna meet bi-weekly from a BA touch point. As a BA team, collectively, shop can decide to say, look, okay, at the beginning of the project, typically what I do personally, my approach is that when I kick off a project and I'm leading the team, not just a team of BAs. I've led teams of BAs, I've led teams of like projects from a portfolio management perspective. Like, I mean, I used to lead an entire commercial banking project delivery organization, right? So when you're leading a team, the first question is, how much support does this team need at this point in time? If the answer is a lot of support, then you want to meet more frequently, maybe 2, 3 times a week. As things become clearer, because at that point in time, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of unknowns. As information becomes clearer, as the certainty begins to increase, people begin to be aware of what's going on, then everyone's going to know that, look, we need to meet less now, because then it becomes contradicting, in the sense that the meeting is no longer adding value, instead is actually taking value away, because that's time that people could have spent on something else, you know? So when I start a project, I meet more frequently, twice a week, 3 times a week sometimes. When we get to a stable place, I change the frequency. Twice a week, I'm into what, once a week. Once things are now sailing smoothly and everyone knows what is expected, questions are coming in a very minimized manner, you're going to know as a leader when things are now beginning to get smooth, because there's a lot less questions, there's a lot less disruptions. Then you can say, okay, let's meet once every 2 weeks, right? So once every 2 weeks touch point is pretty much decent, right? Generally. Yeah, okay. So let's wrap this up here. Um, this is sort of like the experience I wanted you guys to have, so you can have a feel for what happens when you're eliciting requirements, how you're analyzing the information as you're eliciting requirements. It's not necessarily the fact that you elicit first and then you go somewhere and analyze it separately. All these things happen all at once. Now, it's also possible for you to have done some elicitation activities. You've had a chance to talk with the stakeholders, and then you take a step back to review the content, or maybe sometimes even replay the recording. And then there's certain things you didn't think about during the meeting, right? Those are questions you want to bring up for a follow-up conversation. In the follow-up session with the stakeholders, you will then be bringing those conversations up to say, hey guys, so in our last conversation we never really touched on XYZ areas. What are your thoughts, right? So I'm not saying that you have to cover every single thing in one meeting. It's actually impossible, right? But you want to think through, how many meetings do I think I need with the stakeholders or with this stakeholder group, so that I can prepare them ahead of time. They can know that, okay, the expectation is that this is going to take XYZ period of time. This is how many meetings I think I need to commit to, so that they're not going back to their team to say, hey, this guy's wasting my time. I keep getting meeting invites. You'd be very surprised how things play out in the organization, right? People sometimes get very fuzzy. So you want to make sure that you're communicating to them and CCing any relevant party. So for example, if you have a manager, keep them in CC. Say, look, we're going to meet for XYZ period of time. This is how long it's going to take us to cover this up. I can't guarantee we're going to complete everything this time, but this is how I estimate it to be. If we need additional time, I'll let you know in advance. Thanks for your time. Always come, and whenever you finish a meeting, you've documented all your requirements. Always send out meeting minutes to document the outcome of the conversation, because you'll be very surprised how people flip very quickly. Something they agreed to months ago, in the third month, when things are not going well, when maybe the requirement they provided is now the cause of a problem, and they very quickly they flip the switch and say, "Oh no, that's not what I meant." Right? It's funny how I see that happen a lot, and so you would have to refer back to the email that you sent previously, right? To say, look, by the way, this is what you agreed to, this is what we discussed, right? So just keep that in mind. Okay, good. Now, requirements analysis. Let's get into the real thing itself. What I'm going to do today, because to be honest, I can't go on for too long. I'm really struggling here. I'm going to give you guys an overview of requirements analysis. And then I'm going to give you guys a group work to do. After the group work, you guys can wrap up the call, right? I'm going to leave you guys to the call to wrap it up. And you guys do the work as a working group. And I'm going to touch base with you guys during the week to see how that went. And I'm going to post an assignment for the team, either later today or tomorrow. It's going to be an assignment on Slack for everyone. You guys are going to do the assignment as a team. They're going to be 2 teams, groups of 4, or I think 5 each. We have the team division on Slack anyway, so that's fine. Okay, so let me do a screen share quickly. Can you guys still hear me okay? Just want to make sure you guys can hear me. I'm going to start recording now. Okay. I'm going to stop our stream to YouTube now,
You
okay?
posted the groups on April 6th.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. What did you say?
You already posted teams on April 6th.
Yeah,
April
what did I
6th.
what did I post?
Go up more.
What are you talking about though? I don't know what you're talking about.
You already posted the teams for the assignments.
Oh, exactly. Yes, yes. That's it. This is the one. Yep, exactly. This is what you guys are going to be, how you guys are going to be breaking down into teams. Let me, yeah, I'm going to repost it again anyway. Okay, so I just reposted the teams again right here. Um, I'm going to stop sharing to YouTube right now because I don't want. One second. I'm going to